Australians in the green and gold: Eadie, Cordova, Rogers, Cronin, Bousted, Thompson, Rodonicus, Price, Boyd, Reddy, Young, Proponis the captain, Rod Morris, and coached by Frank Stanton. Britain side come out to try and square the series. Fairburn, Barentz, Joyner, Woods, Hughes, Holmes, Stevens, Adams, Casey, Gratian, Nichols the captain, Ward, Skerritt, and their coach is Eric Ashton. That feeling is there, Keith Barnes.
Yes, it certainly is, but I think Great Britain do face a mammoth task if they're going to square the series out here this afternoon. Defence is going to be their big problem. They were found wanting in Brisbane on very many occasions, and they were far too slow in plugging the gap. Certainly there's a lot more life being injected into this pack now with Casey and Adams in particular, but I think they're going to miss Steve Norton, who was one of their better players up in Brisbane. They did probe a few openings in the Australian defence on occasions, but they were far too slow in backing up the men with the ball, and Australia would have to start firm favourites here this afternoon.
And there's Ray, the first break for Australia. Price, who scored the test in Brisbane, as it comes out to Rodonicus and across through Reddy. It goes on to Les Boyd, and Boyd tries to step inside the defence, but is tackled there by David Ward about 10 metres on the Great Britain side of the halfway. Out to Rodonicus now, and across to Alan Thompson, and floats it across the face of Ray Price, and it's taken by Larry Cordova, who in turn is put into touch on the far side. Played back again to Stevens, acting as dummy half, and then fed back to Holmes, and Holmes kicks for the centre of the field, splitting Bousted and Graham Eadie. And so Bousted now gets his second touch of the game, and up he goes to the halfway and beyond. What a great run by Bousted. Tremendous run by Bousted.
Very poor defence by Woods then, the centre, when he went up to take him, though.
It's with Rodonicus and given away to Young, and Young turns it back to Thompson. Thompson is taken in the tackle over the top by the number 5, and that is Eric Hughes. Proponis unloads to Morris, and Morris comes in for a heavy tackle there from David Ward, who came off second best. Jeff Gratian coming in to secure the tackle. It's out with Rodonicus, the run around, and then Proponis, now Boyd, and Boyd takes play 7 or 8 metres inside the 22 on the Lions' end of the field, played by Boyd, and it's Alan Thompson giving it to Craig Young, and Young turns it back to Proponis, who gets his pass down to Rodonicus, and then it goes on to Price, and Price is around 2, and Price is going very close to the line.
He was, but I thought if he'd kept it coming down the right-hand touchline, there was a chance in the corner.
Last tackle for the Australians now as Rodonicus works it out to the left, and it's dropped by Reddy, and it's going to be a scrum to form by Gary Stevens, working the scrum. Won by the English side, and coming into the play is fullback Fairburn, and Fairburn is dunked heavily by Ray Price. Broad metres before his progress is halted. Craig Young playing the ball, and this is Tommy Rodonicus giving it to Thompson. Then it goes to Reddy, and Reddy is still able to stand, and the Great Britain side are going to have to put Reddy down, and there's Rodonicus taking it ahead. 9 metres on the Great Britain side of the halfway. Played back to Proponis. Reddy appears injured in the back play as it goes to Boyd. Boyd standing, getting a one-handed pass away to Proponis, then on to Price. Price it is, getting the pass around the corner to Cronin. On the inside is Cordova. Cordova taken there about 15 metres out by Fairburn. Good tackle by the English fullback. Out to Rodonicus now. This is Alan Thompson giving it to Boyd, and Boyd is met by Mick Adams. Stands and looks to get rid of the ball, but it's an English ball to score. 22 minutes gone. It's with Craig Young, and he's 10 metres on the Great Britain side of the halfway as Proponis comes across the field, and then straightens up. Proponis with a good run by the captain, giving it away to Mick Cronin.
Gee, and he was looking for Rogers, wasn't he? He was just that yard too far behind.
But this is Les Boyd now, just inside the quarter line. Ball being played by Boyd, out to Rodonicus, across to Thompson, then on to Reddy. This is Eadie. This is Rogers. Rogers inside the 22. Rogers stands him up and goes in to score. First try to Australia. Scored by Steve Rogers.
And of course, coming up with a try.
So the scrum is fed by one of the 2 try scorers in the match so far. Holmes kicking ahead now for Great Britain, taken by Eadie, and he got a very favourable bounce, Eadie, but Holmes comes from behind to halt his progress and eventually put him to ground.
It was a very bad kick by Holmes, though, wasn't it? It was just a matter of saying to Eadie, you can have the ball. He didn't put it anywhere near high enough to give himself the opportunity of getting to the ball himself, and it was low trajectory.
Craig Young now making a run for Australia, and a good long run too. It's gone back and touched by Great Britain, and eventually picked up by another Australian following through in the form of second row forward Boyd. This is Raudonikis giving it to Reddy. Reddy still getting that ball free, giving it back to Ray Price. He gets a pass away to Cronin. He unloads quickly to Bousted. Bousted turning on the speed, comes to Fairburn and taken by Fairburn. Played by Bousted. Fairburn didn't appreciate Bousted lashing out when held in the tackle. It's gone across to Price. Quick hands, and there's a try on. Out to Cronin, on to Reddy, out to Boyd. Boyd, Collower comes inside. Collower stepping for the line, but pulled down. Just a couple of metres out.
And the movement of the ball wasn't quite quick enough then.
Reddy now, on to Thompson. Little kick through. Cronin! Cronin dives on it. That's a try. Mick Cronin scoring his second try. Through George Nichols and David Ward, sees play around the halfway mark. It goes on through Holmes and across to Casey, and Casey is held there by Raudonikis and Boyd. Casey playing it now, plays it back to Skerritt, away to Stevens, on to Holmes. Holmes on to Gratian. Gratian over the halfway mark, but is tackled there by Steve Rogers. Australia 17, Great Britain 4 in the opening minute of the second half of this second test match, and the ball goes to Casey. Casey gets his pass away, pulled in nicely by George Nichols, given to Joyner. Here's a try coming up for Great Britain. Yes, Joyner scores. Joyner scores Great Britain's first try in this test series. Nick Adams, and Adams is tackled there by Rod Reddy and Ray Price. Ball being played back to Ward. Ward gets the kick in. A torpedo punt, it'll roll end on end probably, but in fact takes a bit of a turn towards the centre of the field, and Graham Eadie takes it up with Larry Collower in support. Barentz takes Eadie, and there was a swinging arm on that tackle from Watkinson.
But Great Britain very slow to get up to Eadie, weren't they?
And so David Ward gives Graham Eadie a stiff right, and a penalty goes to Australia. Holmes. Played back to Thompson, given away to Young, then Thompson on the run round. Dummies to Reddy, fires the pass back. Bousted dives for it, can't take it. And towed through by Great Britain. Eadie's coming across in defence, towed through again. Chasing the ball is Hughes for Great Britain. Eadie for Australia. Eadie's lost it, and Hughes has dived on it. And the referee has ruled it a fair try. Hartley has given the try to Great Britain's wing three-quarter.
Half-time, never ever looked at any stage of crossing the Australian line, and then suddenly in the space of 10 or 11 minutes in this second half, they've come up with 2 3-pointers, 17 points to 14, and we've got a fisticuff going on in the middle of the field. This is now a traditional Australia-Great Britain test match. And a wonderful goal kicker, a wonderful player, and having a tremendous influence on this game.
This is Les Boyd. Over the top was Ward, underneath was Gratian. As the ball goes to Raudonikis, then to Young. And the big man from St George is tackled by Gratian and Casey, the Bradford Northern second rowers. Raudonikis, Reddy, Eadie. On the inside, Bousted. Raudonikis. Raudonikis making the bus for Australia. And eventually pulled up 10 metres on the Great Britain side of the halfway. Thompson, Young, Boyd. Rogers on the inside. There goes Rogers, scampering through what certainly weren't huge gaps. Raudonikis onto the quarter line. Ball played back to Thompson, then to Raudonikis. 18 metres out from the Great Britain line. Being played back to Paponis. Across to Thompson. Left foot bomb into the corner on the Paddington Hill end. Cronin has it for Australia. Back to Price. And Price is held only about 5 metres out. Played by Price to Paponis. Goes himself, Paponis. Has scored many tries from the dummy half area. Inside the 10-metre line. Out to Raudonikis. Now Thompson. Cronin cut out. Rogers. Eadie. Boyd. Boyd spills it. And Barentz has the ball for England. About 12 metres out from his line. 19-14 the score in favour of Australia. Mick Adams will play it inside the quarter line, back to David Ward. Lost by Nichols, picked up there by Jeff Gratian. Gratian to play it now. Played back to the substitute, and Ward has lost it. And referee Hartley may put a scrum down here unless Australia have got the ball. They have. And it's with Rodinicus away to Young. Then on to Rogers. Cronin coming inside Bousted. But he runs into Casey. And jointly he and Hughes put the little Australian winger down. Rodinicus, Thompson, out to Paponis, on to Reddy. Reddy sights an opening. Reddy going for the corner. Yes!
What a magnificent try that was.
Work in is very, very fast. Stevens. Casey. Held down low by Rodinicus, over the top by Price. Stevens. Watkinson. Almost to the halfway mark now. Played back and across it comes to Nichols and fed away to Mick Adams. He got a short ball to John Joyner. Joyner's got Berens coming up, but he's a bit slow, Berens. He's got the ball now and tackled inside the 22. Joyner's got plenty of speed. Stevens, Nichols. Nichols inside the 22 and beyond. 10 metres out. Plays it back to David Ward. Out to Woods. Adams. Adams gets his pass away to Gary Stevens. And Stevens is tackled on the 6th. Australia's entered the field. Australia 24, Great Britain 16. Casey delivering the ball to Gratian, who's played well, I feel. Playing it back to Casey. Both of these second rowers from Bradford Northern, Casey and Gratian, have got through a lot of work for their side. Mick Adams now puts the bomb in. Graham Eadie is underneath it. Oh, he's lost it. Still booted through, and it's going over the dead ball line. He plays it back to Reddy. Reddy taking it up and eventually put to ground by several players for the Great Britain side. Reddy about to play it back to Paponis, on to Rodinicus, and Rodinicus tries to duck under the tackle by David Ward. The roar from the crowd was the Tooths KB man of the match, and that is Rod Reddy. Reddy has been named as the Tooths KB man of the match, and a penalty to Australia right in front of the uprights, 30 metres out. Lines this kick up. Crowd figures 26,800 odd. As Cronin's kick in flight is getting away, but yes, it's missed. So the scoreline remains 24-16. There's the final siren, and Australia has taken out the second test and the series of 1979 to hold the Ashes, which they've held since the 73-74 visit to England. And here today, they've defeated Great Britain by 24 points to 16. And we'll be back in the dressing rooms in just a moment with the man of the match from Joyce Main Discounts. Australia winning the second test and tying up the series by 24 points to 16 here at the Sydney Cricket Ground this afternoon. Michael Cronin scored 2 tries and kicked 6 goals. The other try scorers were Steve Rogers and Rod Reddy, scoring that magnificent try in the second half. For Great Britain, Joyner and Hughes scored the tries, and Woods kicked 5 out of 5. Australia 24, Great Britain 16, and the scrums, Australia 9-7, the penalties 7-all. Mike, I must tell the viewers that when I told you that you'd won the award, you looked at me with a bit of an amazement, as though you weren't entitled to it.
Well, I thought we had a few good players. Oh, the whole side probably played well. I thought Rod Reddy had a good game, Alan Thompson. So I'm probably a bit surprised. I thought in the second half it was probably a bit quiet.
Well, I've decided that I think Mick Cronin was the man of the match, and I hope you enjoyed the prize. Mick, the Englishman came back in the second half and they show that they still have got some footballing skills out there.
Oh, they definitely have got some footballing skills. I think in the second half we came out a bit flat. We weren't spreading in defence, and we weren't moving up. Two of the things that we said we must do, and they got a few points and got back into the game. I think we probably proved ourselves by we also come back later in the game. We end up in front.
Mick, congratulations again, and I hope you break that record of Lewis Jones's, even though you don't know about it. I'm telling you about it, and congratulations on a magnificent display of football in the 2 tests.
Well, thanks very much, Ray.
Mick Cronin, our man of the match from Sharp and Joyce Main Discounts, and here, in fact, is Joyce to tell you about the masses of Sharp microwave ovens she's got on display at the Auburn discount store of Joyce Main Discounts. And that takes us away from the Sydney Cricket Ground. I hope you've enjoyed the second test telecast from the Sydney Cricket Ground, won by Australia 24-16. And of course we'll have the New South Wales Great Britain game and the third test match for you here on the O10 network. I'm Ray Warren. On behalf of Keith Barnes, good night for now.